Welcome back. Joining us now from Sydney, Australia, Michael Mann, Distinguished Professor of Atmospheric Science at Penn State University, the author of The Madhouse Effect, How Climate Change Denial is Threatening Our Planet, Destroying Our Politics, and Driving Us Crazy. My go-to guy when there are major climate issues around the world. And coincidentally, you are in Australia, Michael, for something that has got the world on edge. And I need to understand from you whether this is unique and specific to Australia or whether this is the sign of things to come with scorched earth and hot days and long fire seasons that burn lots and lots of land and kill lots and lots of animals.
Yeah, thanks, Ali. It's good to be with you. And sadly, it's the latter. What we are witnessing right now in the form of these unprecedented bushfires in Australia is the impact of human-caused climate change. You warm up the planet, you dry out the continents in the summers, in subtropical regions that are already dry, you're going to get these epic wildfires. We've seen it in California, and now we're seeing it here in Australia. Now, I came to Australia to study the impacts of climate change on extreme weather here in the continent of Australia, and that sabbatical was actually planned out more than a year ago. Little did I realize that I would arrive to actually witness that play out in real time as we watch this epic tragedy unfold, this unprecedented death and destruction due to these bushfires that are literally engulfing the continent of Australia right now.
Michael, you have studied this, you've written about it, and I think in the last year, you and other experts like you have realized that we in the media are taking this more seriously than we ever have before. It is becoming a much more mainstream conversation. And maybe books like yours have worked in sort of isolating the deniers. But now we are in a world in which we have to do something. When you look at Australia, when you look at the Amazon, when you look at the wildfires in North America, when you look at the strength of the hurricanes and the type of flooding we've seen, the time for action is now. But when you look at Australia, what is there to do? What do my viewers do when they see these pictures that are on our screen right now?
Yeah, well, people ask me, is Australia or California, are we dealing with a new normal? And I wish I could say that that's all it is. A new normal implies that we just need to cope with the conditions that we are now dealing with. But it's worse than that. If we don't act immediately to dramatically reduce our carbon emissions and prevent future warming, additional warming and drying of the continents, then the sorts of wildfires, the epic wildfires that we are seeing today will become commonplace. And we will see unprecedented scales and intensities and speed of spreading of these wildfires. So, the key thing is we have to stop worsening the problem by burning fossil fuels. And here in Australia, the current Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, is actually supporting policies that will continue Australia's position as the leading exporter of coal on the planet. At a time when we need to be bringing down our emissions dramatically, the current political leadership, or one might argue lack thereof here in Australia, is taking them in the wrong direction at a time when they are witnessing the tragic impacts of the warming that we've already caused.
And Michael, in America, we have a president who is encouraging the burning of coal. I mean, fossil fuels in general are the problem, and we're going to have to reduce our reliance on all the entire range of fossil fuels. But coal is the most damaging in terms of the goals that we're trying to reach.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. All fossil fuels contribute to the carbon buildup in the atmosphere and the warming of the planet, but coal is the worst. If you look at the amount of carbon that is put into the atmosphere for the return of energy that you actually get, coal is the worst. And so it's fairly clear now that we have to stop burning coal. We have to dramatically reduce our burning of natural gas and our use of burning of petroleum and oil and gasoline. But more than anything else, we've got to stop burning coal. And again, right now, Australia is actually doubling down in their policies under the current leadership under Scott Morrison as a prime minister. They're actually doubling down in their policies of incentivizing the mining and burning and export of coal, the very worst of the fossil fuels.
Michael, thank you for joining us. While you've been talking to us, normally we look right at your face, but these pictures, I think, are worth our viewers seeing. We're not just seeing the devastating fires, but we're seeing those koalas, we're seeing those kangaroos, and the billion the estimate of a billion animals that have been killed in this fire so far. Michael, thank you for joining me. Michael Mann in Sydney tonight.
Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on the button below for more from The Last Word and the rest of MSNBC.